Hey guys, this is good to see you. I want to start it off by saying thank you guys for watching my video. Thank you guys for all the comments. I haven't been able to get to all the comments, but I just want to say thank you. And I appreciate it, and I read all of them. And I'm glad that the content has been helping you. And as always, let's get started. So I'm going to teach you the alchemy equivalent exchange formula to 2 to 10x your monthly income. And so what I want to start this video on today is the understanding of you are not getting paid for what you do. You are getting paid for who you are. And it's very important to understand this formula. You are not getting paid for what you do. You are getting paid for who you are. You see, there are people in your industry, in your market, who sell, who have similar services, products, apps, whatever it is that you do. There's people that are very similar to you in your industry, your market, your niche, and they get paid completely different from you, whether that's less or more. Why? Because you're not getting paid for what you do. You are getting paid for who you are being in the present moment, your identity, because you've alchemized a specific version of yourself, and that version of yourself has a standard for who they are and how money shows up to them. I'm going to show you how to make that and tweak it to your advantage so you can get paid even more. So get your notebook out, take a seat, and let me make you the richest person in your market, in your industry. I am that I am. And so the foundation of this understanding, the foundation of this masterclass is that reality is created from within the mind. You're not seeing reality. You are seeing your brain's translation of reality. Light bends into your eyes through the process called refraction. It's turned upside down, turns into electrical signals, and then the brain is processing the light that is going through your eyes, and then it is being reflected outward and then reversed or split upside down, and then it is built into the image that your brain has processed. But your brain is not building the image alone. It's processing the image through identity. For example, you're looking in the mirror and you are noticing everything wrong with your face and your body. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this wrinkle. I don't like this extra layer of fat right here. I don't like the way that this is shaped. I don't like that this eyebrow is bigger than this eyebrow. You're seeing all your imperfections because you are looking at reality from the lens of I'm not good enough. I'm not being good enough. I don't look good enough. And so the moment you are looking at yourself, the image that your brain is building is a version of yourself that is imperfect, that a version of yourself that you cannot love, because you're not understanding that you're not just seeing reality, you are experiencing reality from your perspective of who you are in your mind. Reality is created from the mind first, and then it is externally experienced. And so in this first bubble, I need you to understand that your eyes are not showcasing reality. It's the light is being entered from the eyes, but the brain is what is processing the image of your experience of the world. And that image is being reinforced by your identity. That is why two people can walk into the same room and see two completely different opportunities. One person can see a room full of abundance, and then another person can see a room full of lack. Why? Identity. Your internal state. Because if you understand that your reality is created from the mind, your brain is processing the image of reality from the brain, then you can understand that your internalized identity, who you think you are, is processing the very reality that you are experiencing. And that is why it says in Hermeticism, that is why the first law in Hermeticism is the law of mentalism. The universe is one collective superconscious mind. The universe is mental. The second universal law, and this is why it's important to study your universal laws, is the law of correspondence. And the law of correspondence says cause and effect. The brain being the cause, law of mentalism, the outer world being the effect, law of correspondence. As within cause, so without effect. As above cause, so below effect. As within, so without, as above, so below. The law of cause and effect, the law of correspondence. Your reality is created internally from within the mind, and then it is externally produced. And so the understanding is that your reality is not created out there. It is created in here. I know. You've been taught differently. Yes, I know. You've been taught wrong. The world has lied to you. Yes. This is what they don't want you to know. This is what the elites know. I don't like calling them the elites. This is what the 2% of the world knows. This is how the people at the top stay at the top. It's because they understand how to bend reality to their will. This is what they taught in secret societies. This is what the Freemasons taught. This is what the oldest families, the oldest bloodlines in existence know about the truest nature of reality. And you are being taught this as well. Your reality is not created out there. It is created in here. Everything you call reality first enters your body as information. Light enters your eyes and then processed to the brain, as we talked about a second ago. Sound enters your ears. Signals travel to your brain. Your brain then takes all of that information and builds the reality you experience. But it does not build it objectively. It builds it through your identity in the present moment. Your beliefs, your emotions, your past experiences, and the meaning you've assigned to life become the blueprint your brain uses to construct the very reality that you live in. And that is why two people can live through the same exact moment and experience two completely different realities. The world isn't changing. The mind that is interpreting it. Reality is created from within the mind. And so the conclusion is that reality is being formulated from our internal system. I am that I am. Exodus 3:14, God's name is I am that I am. I will be that I will be. I am everything from the beginning and the end of time. I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am that I am. Your internal state, your internal system, as I've conceptualized it. I have created the understanding of the internal system. And so if anyone does this, they stole it from me. I'm the only person that has done this. I am the greatest to ever do it. The mind, the subconscious, the awareness, the conscious mind, and the nervous system is built up into our internal system, but I will explain the actual formula later to actually that you see it on paper. But that is the conclusion. When I say reality is created from within the mind, when I say that your internal identity is creating your external reality, when I say as within, so without, as above, so below, when I say I am that I am, when I say identity, when you hear somebody say frequency online, when you hear Neville Goddard say self-concept, when you hear someone say state of consciousness, they're saying your internal system, your I am, which is made up of the mind, the subconscious, the awareness, the conscious, and your nervous system. That is what they're saying in conclusion. That is your I am. That is your identity in the present moment. That is your frequency. That is your state of consciousness. That is your self-concept, your subconscious and conscious mind and your nervous system. And so, to 2 to 10x your monthly income, you are not getting paid for what you do. You are getting paid for who you are. You need to understand that God is the one that pays you because you pay yourself. Let me say that one more time. God is the one that pays you. You pay yourself. Why? You need to understand this verse from scripture. And we need to look at it esoterically, right? You can't just look at it at face value. You need to look at it esoterically. I'm an esoteric advisor to 7 to 9 figure entrepreneurs. And just by the way, if you are a 7 to 9 figure entrepreneur and you're looking at 2 to 5x your monthly income in 90 days, hit the link below. Let's not waste any time. And so Matthew 13:12, whoever has will be given more and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. So let's look at the first sentence. Whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. What is that saying esoterically? What is it trying to explain to you from underneath? And even at face value, you can see the picture. I'll give you a couple verses to help you formulate it. Mark 11:24, whatever you ask for, know that you have received it. Psalm 23, the Lord is your shepherd. You do not lack. You do not want. And so what God is trying to tell you in Matthew 13:12 is that if you have it, you will be given more and you will have an abundance of the thing that you've given yourself. But whatever you do not give yourself, whatever you do have, I can also take it away from you at any time because you have not truly given it to yourself. That is what Matthew 13:12 says. And so the understanding from a reality creation standpoint, the understanding of how do I use this to align myself spiritually with the unseen world, with the universe, with God, is I have to give myself the desire internally and believe in it and know that I have it, and then God will give it to me, and I will have it for the rest of my life. But if I do not give it to myself, if I'm waiting on the world to give it to me, then it can be stripped away from me at any time. And when I lose it, I know that I've lost it because I know I only got it from the world. I only gave it to myself because the world told me so. I only believe in it because the world told me so. But what is the problem with that? What is the problem with that? If you can only give yourself confidence because the world showed you an instance of you having confidence, or you can only feel wealthy because the world is giving you money and things are starting to flow right now. But what happens when the opposite happens? What happens when something happens that shows you that you are not confident? What happens if the world shows you something where your money dries up? What then? Who do you become then? Matthew 13:12 is trying to align you with the unseen world. And it's trying to tell you that you will always have an abundance of the thing when you give it to yourself, when you decide that it is yours and you have it. But if you do not give it to yourself, you'll never have it. And whatever you do have, it will be taken away from you. Matthew 13:12. You need to understand the fundamentals. It's very important at this stage. Your internal system, remember we talked about that, is creating your external reality. And now you understand how to align yourself with God in the universe, which is Matthew 13:12. You guys have to give it to yourself. You have to give yourself the desire. You have to give yourself the money. You have to give yourself the happiness. You have to give yourself the success. You have to give yourself the love. And that is why 7 to 9 figure entrepreneurs or highly successful, motivated people, they'll constantly chase the next level if they don't know this information. If they're not doing this from spiritual grounding with the unseen world, because they'll get to the next level and then they'll constantly chase it. Oh, I'll be satisfied when I hit 100K. And then they reach 100K. Well, I'll be satisfied when I get 500K. And then they meet somebody with a super yacht. Well, I'll be more successful when I'm making 10 million and then 50 million. It never becomes enough because there's always a next shiny object. But when you're creating reality, basing everything on your external reality, there's never going to be enough for you because there's always a bigger fish. There's always a more beautiful woman. There's always another business opportunity. There's always another bigger deal. There's always another amazing prospect. There's always another beautiful location. There's always something shiny that's going to happen. But if you don't understand the universal laws, you don't understand the unseen world, then you'll never be internally satiated because you've never aligned yourself with the unseen world. You've never tapped into your internal system that God gave you from the conceptualization of your life. Luke 17:21, the kingdom of God is within you. As it says in the Quran, when Allah was creating Adam, he put a little piece of his spirit inside of him. You have something outside of the external world that gives you a connection to the infinite intelligence. And if you don't know how to align yourself with that, you'll always be stuck into the doom of reality. So God can only give you what you are, Matthew 13:12. Therefore, whatever state you are emitting, that is what you will receive. A state of lack, receive a state of lack. If you're in a state of doubt, you receive a state of doubt. You see, the universe, God, is an amplifier. Matthew 13:12, whatever you have, you will be given more. And whatever you do not have, you will never receive. So God is an amplifier. The universe is an amplifier. It magnifies who you are being in the present moment, in your internal system. And remember, your internal system is composed of your subconscious mind, your conscious mind, and your nervous system. This is what makes up your internal system, your I am, your identity in the present moment. Now, to reach the next level of wealth, so 2 to 10x to your monthly income, or to create sustainable wealth, you need an internal system that matches that next level. You need a new identity in the present moment. And so let's talk about identity. Let's talk about the internal system. Now, no one has conceptualized this on the planet this way. This is my own process. This is my formula. So if you see anybody doing it like this, they got it from me. And they better put some respect on my name. I am Hamza, the alchemist. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to meet you. And so identity is your I am, right? This is not the part I've coined, by the way. Everybody knows this, at least should. So identity is who you are internally in the present moment. That part is me. Your I am is your identity, and your identity is synonymous with the words frequency, self-concept, state of consciousness. So if you hear anyone say your frequency, you need a high frequency, or if you hear Neville Goddard say self-concept, or you hear someone say your state of conciseness. So if you hear anybody say any of these terms, it's synonymous with the word identity. And then identity means I am. So all of these are saying I am. Exodus 3:14, that is God's name. And so this is the part that I've coined your internal world. This is what creates your internal world. Your internal world creates your external reality. This is what Hermeticism was trying to explain. This is the download that I got. Your internal world is composed of your subconscious self and a portion of the conscious self. And so you guys hear that? It's a gecko. Oh my God. These Bali geckos, bro. Apparently, if it does it 7 times, that means it's good luck. Anyways, so your internal world is composed of the subconscious self and a portion of the conscious self. And so these are the 5 pillars that create the foundation of your internal world. Because your external world, you know what makes up your external world. You have the foundations of your external world. Maybe your parents, your family, your lover, your job, your business, yourself, your body, your health. You know what your external foundations are. But you need to know your internal foundations, because you need to understand your internal world is creating your external reality. And so your internal world is composed of the subconscious self and a portion of the conscious. It's stated from most important to least important. Number 1 is your subconscious identity, the subconscious self. Now, during the ages of 0 to 7, your brain was in a state of theta. And in that state of theta, your brain was absorbing everything from your environment. Now, if you've never interacted with children before, during the ages of 0 to 7, and a little bit after that, they're asking a bunch of questions. They're saying, why is the sky blue? Why is the sky so vast? Why are clouds white? Why is the sun this color? Why is the moon this way? What moves them? Why does one come here and one come there? Why does the moon have different shapes? They're asking so many questions because their brain is in a state of theta, and their brain is trying to process and understand the world around them. Their brain is forming definitions and associations of things. They're creating a definition of money emotionally and consciously. They're creating definitions of themselves, of their parents, of struggle, of love, of abundance. They're creating their entire world during the ages of 0 to 7. And so your identity was formulated in your childhood from those ages, your subconscious identity. And if you're not aware of it, your subconscious controls 90 to 95% of your behavior, and it's your unconscious behavior. And so it's the reason why you do certain things like procrastinate, worry, doubt, fear, not believe in yourself. And maybe the reason why you're confident, why you do believe in yourself, why you've always won, why you never give up. It's because of that programming that you've experienced during the ages of 0 to 7 and the programming you did after that. And I'll explain how the subconscious mind is programmed, because you've definitely programmed your brain outside of your childhood, but we'll explain that later. But I need you to understand that your subconscious identity from the ages of 0 to 7 is still lingering in the background in your mind. It doesn't truly go away unless you truly reprogram it. And most people have not reprogrammed it. Why? Because they're not aware of the fact that it's still happening. Why? Because it happened during the ages of 0 to 7, and you think you grow older, and you think that it doesn't resurface, but you have to understand that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, only transferred. And so all those memories that you have of your childhood, you've compartmentalized it. You've pushed it to the background. It's not in the limelight anymore, but you can still remember certain experiences in your childhood, especially if they were very traumatic or emotional for you, like it was yesterday. I've had clients tell me they can remember memories where they can still smell their mom or their dad, and they can still hear their voice, and they can still see the look on their face. Why? Because it's never truly left your brain. You've just pushed it to the background. But all you need to know from step 1 is that your subconscious identity was formed during those ages, and that's created, for the most part, 90 to 95% of your behavior till today. Number 2 is your emotional state and control. What do you emotionally feel throughout the day? What do you emotionally react to throughout the day? You see, emotion is the language of the subconscious mind. And this is why I say you've definitely reprogrammed your subconscious mind throughout the years outside of the ages of 0 to 7. But has it been for your benefit? You see, the subconscious mind reacts to emotion, because remember, emotion is energy in motion. Emotion, energy in motion. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And so when you emotionally react, that is you transferring your energy to the subconscious mind. You're programming the subconscious mind with your emotion. And so in that moment, let's say you react to something negative. Let's say someone break up with you. They break up with you. And then you start freaking out. You're like, oh my God, like I love you. What am I going to do with the rest of my life? And you start going crazy. You're actually programming your subconscious mind in that instance. And you're actually doing it for a negative outcome because you're reacting to something, feeling unworthy, feeling a lack, feeling not good enough, thinking that your whole world is over. And think about what your brain is absorbing about you in relation to the world in that moment. And so you need to think about it in your life. What have I reacted to very strongly, emotionally, that may have programmed my mind? And so that is why emotional state and control is at the second pillar of your internal world. Because if you do not have a good emotional state in control, whatever you react to on a daily basis, you're programming your subconscious mind and your identity. And in that is your nervous system, because your nervous system is controlled by your state and how you react to the world. And that is your dominant feeling state. And as Neville Goddard said in his time, feeling is the secret. And so if you constantly feel lack, if you constantly feel unworthy, if you constantly feel like you're not good enough, that is also contributing to the reality that you are experiencing in your life. Because remember, emotion, energy, and motion. 3 is your conscious thoughts. This is your awareness. This is your, what are you thinking about daily? What are you thinking throughout the day? What are you thinking about in your business? What are you thinking about in your industry? What are you thinking about with money, with your life, with finances? What are you thinking about consciously throughout the day? That's 3. 4 is your conviction. How convicted are you in the things that you're doing in your life? And you have to understand that conviction is the same as faith. To have conviction is the same thing as to have faith. If you're not familiar with the story of Elijah, Elijah was a priest during the war. And when they were traveling from one place to another, in the war, they were going to the next, battlefield, and they had ran out of water. And so someone from the army, told Elijah, who was the closest to God in the vicinity, because he was a priest, he said, Elijah, if you're so close to God, can you just make rain happen? Can you just make it rain? Can you just make it rain? Elijah, please, por favor. And Elijah said, all right, I got you. I'll go speak to God. I'll come back. So it says Elijah goes to the point, peak, Peniel, you could say. Not the Peniel, but I think it was the pinnacle or the peak or whatever it says. Can't remember a verse from verse. And then he speaks with God. And then he comes back to the army and he says, well, you guys better start digging your holes. And they're like, what? You want the water? The water is coming, but you better start digging. And so the whole army starts digging their holes. And then they finish. And then the very next day, the valley floods with water. It rains and the valley floods. Now, Elijah went to go pray, went to go speak with God. And then when he came back and he spoke to the army, he didn't say, well, I tried, so I guess we'll see what happens. He didn't say, I spoke with God, but I don't know when he's going to get back to us, so we'll just wait and see. He spoke with God in prayer, the same prayer that we all do. We close our eyes and we speak with God in our mind or out loud or in our hearts. And then he came out of that with conviction that the rain is going to come. And so he told the army, you better start digging your holes. And then the water came. Why? Because he was convinced that it was going to come. Why? Because he understood and aligned himself universally with the unseen world, because conviction is a part of reality creation, because conviction is what is creating your internal world, and that internal world he was convinced that God was going to deliver the manifestation of the water, and that convincing created that experience of reality where the rain came, all because that man had conviction. With the faith of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain, as it says in scripture. And faith comes from the etymology of the word fides, which if you look at the word confidence, it's confidence. And fides comes from the word confidence. And so to have faith is to have confidence and conviction, all stemming from the same understanding And so if you have conviction in oneself, conviction in one's reality, you have to ask yourself, if conviction is creating your internal world and then your internal world is creating your external reality, what are you currently convinced of? Are you convinced of not being good enough? Are you convinced of lack? Are you convinced of not being rich already? Are you convinced of making the bare minimum? Are you convinced of not being the best in your industry, in your market? What are you convinced of in your reality? Because that thing that you're convinced of in the present moment is in your internal world, and your internal world is always reflecting in your external reality. And lastly, what beliefs do you have, expectations, and assumptions? What do you believe about the world? What beliefs have you inherited from the world, which then create your expectations of the world, which then create your assumptions of the world? From start to finish, your subconscious identity is the formulative base, the foundation of your internal world. And then we get into your emotional state and your control. And then we form your conscious thoughts. What are you thinking of daily? And then we go to your conviction. What are you convinced of? And then what beliefs do you have about the world and the world around you? This creates your internal world. Now, the conclusion, once you understand that your internal world, and this is what your internal world is composed of, is creating your external reality, the natural conclusion is to increase your next level of wealth and your next level of revenue to 2 to 10x your monthly income. We have to change your identity. Because remember, your identity is being formulated by this. And currently, this identity is creating your current results. Put the R right here for results. This 5 pillars are creating the current amount of money that you're making now. Your internal world is creating your external world, and that is why you have your current results. It doesn't matter what you change out here. You've tried new strategies, new funnels, new ads. You've tried hiring agencies before, but it doesn't change. You may break past the plateau momentarily. You may break past the limit for a moment, but you've always found yourself reverting back to the same pattern, the same limit, the same amount of money. Why? Because your internal world has not been reprogrammed. And so the conclusion is to increase your next level of revenue and wealth, we must change your identity. Your identity, you're being your I am being your internal world, and those 5 pillars are your internal world. Therefore, we must reprogram the subconscious mind, your internal system, in the conscious mind, your awareness. So how do we do that? I know where I got you. So you can reprogram the subconscious mind through emotion and repetition. And I'm going to give you guys the meditation technique that I've learned from Neville Goddard. I've tweaked it a little bit. That way you can reprogram the mind through emotion and repetition. Now, I recommend that you guys do this every single night until you feel like you don't need to do it anymore. The subconscious mind is programmed through repetition. So why not keep doing it? You're giving the subconscious mind direction when you're visualizing and adding emotion in there. And so what you're going to do before you go to sleep, and you can do this during the day, but you have to meditate. You have to get into a state of theta. And so remember, the state of theta was the state that you were in as a child. That was reprogramming your subconscious mind through every instance and interaction with the world. You get into that state 2 ways. Someone hypnotizes you into that state, or you meditate into that state. And so what you do usually before you go to sleep, because when you go to sleep, your brain is naturally winding down and you're easily getting to the state of theta, is you lay down and relax, or sit up and relax, because be careful, you can fall asleep and you don't want to waste this window. And so lay down and relax, and you want to create a short scene in first person, no longer than 15 seconds. You want to see yourself talking to the person you love the most. Start the scene with them acknowledging something that you have been struggling with. This is what I've changed in Neville Goddard's methodology, because I understand that the subconscious mind is programmed through emotion. And so what I want you to do is I want you to ground the visualization in emotion early in the first couple scenes. I want you to feel it as best as you can, because the more that you feel it in the mind, the more that it feels real to the mind and the body. And if we can get the mind and the body to feel that this is real, we can manifest that in physical reality quicker. And so you start the scene, you're in first person, you're in front of the person that you love the most, your mom, your dad. I had someone say, I'm going to pick Jesus. So, whatever you guys want to pick as the person you love the most. Love you, AP. Start the scene with them acknowledging something that you have been struggling with. For example, if you are a person that lacks confidence, maybe your mom or your dad mentions that you have grown into such a confident and strong-willed person. and they're proud of you. Whatever you want to hear, whatever you've always wanted to hear, remember, it's something you know what you want to hear. You know what you struggle with in your life, whether it's love or self-love or money, feeling good enough, feeling worthy, feeling beautiful, feeling deserved. Whatever you struggle with in your life, you want to start the scene off with that acknowledgement, because that's going to make you feel seen and heard. That's going to make you feel something, especially when the person that you love the most is the one saying it. And that's why you want to start the visualization with that, because it automatically grounds you in that moment, to that scene, and you feel it real. So again, first person, no longer than 15 seconds max, like an acting scene. Start or cut, action, boom. You see them in front of you. They say the thing that you want, that you've always wanted to hear. And then afterwards, they congratulate you on your new success, the new monthly amount of income, the new business, the new lover, whatever it is you guys want to manifest. But in the video, I'm talking about the 2 to 10x your monthly income. They congratulate you on your new monthly income, right? Please, please, please do not go from 10K a month to 100K a month. You know, work your way up there, right? Whatever you guys are making right now, make a jump, but don't make a crazy jump where you're just like, oh, I'm making 100K a month. Let me do 1 million. Let me visualize 1 million, right? A little bit crazy. Build the muscle. But if you're making 6 figures, go to 150, go to 200, right? Just don't go all the way out there. Afterwards, they congratulate you on your new success, the new monthly income. Like, let's say you start the scene. This is how I start the scene in my mind so that I can give you guys an idea. My mom is in front of me. Hamza, I'm so proud of you and everything that you've done. I always knew you were going to be successful, even when I held you as a baby. Boom. I feel that. Congratulations on your business hitting 300K a month. I'm so proud of you. I heard the good news. And then you end the scene with a physical hug. I hug her tight, and then you restart the scene. And then you keep looping it over and over and over again. Now, the reason why you want to restart the scene and end it quick is because the brain, the subconscious mind, is programmed through repetition. And so the goal here is to repeat the scene over and over and over again to give the mind direction. It's like, hey, mind, I want to see this. I want to see this. I want to see this. And the more the brain sees that scene, the more it feels that that scene is real. And then the brain can construct a way to bring you to that scene in physical reality. That is what Neville Goddard's work was, if you're familiar with the climbing the ladder scenario. So this is one of the ways that I teach my 7 to 9-figure entrepreneurs how to reprogram their subconscious mind. Now, how do we reprogram the conscious mind? You need to become aware of already having the desire. The universe only speaks in 2 languages. You either have it or you don't. So Neville Goddard talks about living in the end, but I've conceptualized it a different way. It's not living in the end. It's starting from the end. Start thinking from the desire already being complete. Live as if you manifested it yesterday. The more that you convince the subconscious mind that the desire is already happening now, the faster the manifestation shows up. And so this is what I mean when I say in my content, you need to create an identity that already has the desire. You need to start thinking from the desire already being completed, already being in existence. It's something you already have. It's not a goal. It's not something that's going to happen a month from now, 2 months from now, a year from now. If you're lucky, if all the planets align, when you get your next tarot reading, it's something that manifested yesterday. You've already had it this entire time. It's already happened. Mark 11:24, whatever you ask for in prayer, know that you have already received it. Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd. I do not want. I do not lack. In another translation, meaning I don't need to want it. I don't lack anything because I already have it. It's already mine. As I say in the book that I'm writing, the separation was the illusion. Live as if you manifested it yesterday. Create an identity in the present moment that already has the desire. Mark 11:24. And then number 2, feel the desire already being completed. Feel the desire already being in completion. Matthew 6:33. Seek first the kingdom of God, and then everything else will be added upon your righteousness. Seek first the kingdom of God, and then everything else will be added upon you. And the kingdom of God is located within. And remember, the feeling state, your dominant state internally is creating your external reality. And so if you can feel what it would feel like to already have your desire, then you are seeking the kingdom, as it says in Matthew 6:33. Esoterically, you have to look at it from an esoteric standpoint, meaning to find the feeling of the fulfilled state now. Meaning you need to feel the dominant state of the version of you who already has the desire, who already has the money. You feel their confidence, their conviction. You feel their peace. You feel their stability. You feel their relaxation. You want to embody their dominant feeling state, which would be peaceful, relaxed, confidence, grateful, and abundant. That is what you do in the present moment. That is what reprograms the subconscious mind during the day. One, you start thinking from the desire already being completed. And then two, feel the desire already being completed internally. Do what you would do if the desire already manifested, act it out. Do what you would naturally do to manifest that in physical reality. Take the action. Live as if you're undeniable. Live as if you already know the desire is yours. Go after it. Dig your hole, as it says in the story of Elijah. It's coming. The water is already here, but you need to dig your hole. You need to meet God halfway and then feel it. Feel the conviction as Elijah did. Feel your confidence. Feel their peace. Feel their stability. Feel their relaxation. You want to embody that dominant state internally, which would be peaceful, relaxed, confident, grateful, and abundant. And then you're aligning yourself with the unseen world. Then you're aligning yourself spiritually. Then you're aligning yourself as the common, modern spiritual people say, your higher self, and it draws to you in the reality. And so the last part of the process that reveals the manifestation is detaching. As I say, the law of detachment, right? But there's a misunderstanding about detachment in the community because people fear detachment. It's like, if I detach, doesn't it mean that I'm giving up? I don't want to give up on my desire. But you need to understand something about detachment. I'll reframe the way you look at detachment for the rest of your life. You naturally detach by creating this new identity, this new internal system. Once you start convincing yourself that the desire is happening now, while doing your night meditation technique that I gave you with the person that you love the most, and by doing what you do during the day in your awareness, your conscious mind, by acting as if it happened yesterday and feeling it, you will naturally start caring less and less about your next revenue level, about your manifestation, because that creates an internal shift. You stop caring about it externally because every single day you start building it internally. And because you start convincing yourself that it's happening already without the proof of the world, you create an internal shift. And that in the universe, God responds to that new internal shift, which becomes that conviction of, I know that this is happening now, whether or not that I see it. And that is detachment. That is why you naturally detach. Detaching is not giving up. Detaching is saying, I know that I'm experiencing this and I don't need it from the external world anymore because I know that I've created it internally and that's all I needed. And the universe will then respond to that new internal shift. The reason why you struggle with detachment or you struggle with the concept of detaching is because you have not given it to yourself to the point where you've shifted internally. And that is why you fear the natural letting go of the wanting and needing it to happen externally, because you have not shifted internally to the point of not needing it anymore. Once you get there, reality is yours. Once you get there, the manifestation has no choice but to show up. So the reason why most people do not receive their manifestation, because they cannot hold the new internal state, the new identity, long enough for reality to give them their desire. That's the problem. Majority of people do not receive their manifestation because they cannot hold the new internal state, the new identity long enough for reality to give them their desire. Because they cannot maintain nor hold the new identity, the new internal system. And so as you finish this video, I gave you the necessary tools that you need in order to shift your internal system from point A to point B so you can increase the next level of wealth that's coming into your life and your business. But I need you to understand that the reason why most people fail in alchemizing their current reality is because they cannot maintain this and hold it long enough for reality to give it to them. The physical world is the last domino to fall. It's the slowest process in the creative framework. And so you need to make sure that you maintain the identity work and you hold it long enough for you to shift internally to the point where you do not react to the external world anymore because you've given it to yourself long enough. Because when you do that, the manifestation shows up. And so what I'm going to give you, the tool, your sword and your shield and your armor to continue you forward in your identity work as I see you until next week, is Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to the world, but be renewed by a transformation of your mind. Do not be conformed by the world, but be renewed by a transformation of your mind. Now you have your sword, now you have your shield, and now you have your armor. And now you have everything you need in order to manifest that next level of revenue in your life. And now you understand why you do not get paid for what you do, but you get paid for who you are being in the present moment, who you are. And if you need help to getting to that next level, if you're a 7 to 9 figure entrepreneur and you're ready for that next level, and you can feel it internally, you can feel it intrinsically when that next level is calling your name, it whispers to you like a voice saying, I'm ready, but you know something is blocking you, then you call me. That's what they do. That's what I do. I'm the 7 to 9 figure esoteric advisor because God put me on this plan to do this job, and I would 2 to 5x or maybe even 10x your monthly income in 90 days. That is my promise for you. And so book a call below. And as that gecko says, stop wasting your time and do not let fear get in the way of where you are now and where you want to be. And so I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And I'm excited for my next video because we're going to go into detail about the fundamentals of reality. But until next time, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I will see you in the next one.